we're going to go back to the whole mask thing with schools reopening. So we have this high school in Georgia that reopened. And as you can maybe see from that crowd, all but three students were wearing masks. Okay. And what's actually very interesting was the student who posted that picture actually got suspended for posting that
That
picture.
was crazy.
Now, so none of these kids are being punished for not wearing masks, but someone's being punished for whistleblowing the fact that they're not enforcing the mandate. But anyway, so and also I just want to mention that Georgia, this particular school, has very strict dress codes, which they have no problem enforcing. Okay, so my question to the panel is, oh gosh, now I have to go back. Hold on 1 second. I lost my question. No.
That's all right.
Okay, right. I'm sorry. No, so my question to the panel is, uh, do you think that this is really an issue of not being able to enforce the mandate, or is this just a further politicizing of the issue? And now this is just the administration saying, you know what, this is not something that we care about or believe in, so we're not going to enforce it. And the second to that question is, do you think that this, politicizing of the issue is going to trickle down to the students and cause, violent encounters and like how is this going to play out?
Let's start with Lizzie.
I think as a school and as an administration, you have to lay out the rules and you have to set the example. All of us went to school. At least none of you are homeschooled, right? I know these two weren't. Z, were you homeschooled? So all of us went to school. All of us had to adhere to a certain. Not in Mr. Dahlgren's class, you weren't homeschooled.
I just came in for that one class.
I just came to play cards.
Adhere to a certain amount of rules throughout our entire educational history. And like Z pointed out, there are rules about dress codes, there are rules about smoking, there are rules about alcohol, there are rules about everything in school. And so I think you are full of BS if you say, okay, we can monitor all of these other things, but we can't monitor whether or not you wear a mask coming through the door, whether you keep that mask on in a classroom. I mean, I'm a professor, and before the pandemic, one of the big pet peeves for me was having students come into my classroom with their phones out. Put your phone away. As easy as it was for me to tell my students to put your phone away, turn it off, I don't want to see it, you can do the same thing with a mask. Yep. I don't want to see you without a mask on. Yep. Put it on your face. Don't come into my classroom without a mask. Don't take it off during my classroom. And so I do think that this has been politicized. I do think that this has become a partisan issue where people are taking sides based on political views alone. And it's sad because now that same Georgia school, we found out today, it came out today, 9 students so far from that picture have tested positive of COVID.
Wow.
9.
Wow.
So yeah, it's sad.
And interestingly enough, I just wanted to interject too, and I don't know if you noticed, but it's not a fair fight. It seems like the majority is anti-mask. So what's going to happen to those students who are wearing their masks? Just something else to kind of throw in there.
All right, Jam.
Go ahead, Jam. Sorry.
No worries. So I guess I have a different point of view. I'm a glass half full sort of guy, even if the glass is empty. So what I'm saying is, I think that, for example, there are 9 kids who tested positive. I think that if there are enough aware kids, and no matter what side of the social a-hole spectrum you fall on, I think you're paying attention when you're in high school. I think when 9 of your friends test positive, a lot of those people, a lot of the jokers, are people who are like, fence sitters will be like, yeah, that mask thing. And then the young lady who was suspended, even though I think they lifted that suspension, I thought, after they reviewed the policy.
Yeah, they did.
I think that they will garner, not so much for the point they're wearing a mask, but for the fact that they become an example of all the stuff, including possible death, that could happen. I think we are going to see examples of what we would consider a positive response, which is more mask wearing. and awareness of that space, because people don't want to die. This is like when you see, I think it's great in a way when you come across all these articles where people are like, I thought it was a joke until me and my whole family who had a party naked last night in my backyard came down with coronavirus. And so I think this is a great example of that. Like those kids, whether or not their parents tell them, whether or not the teachers are like, we're watching you, they're going to be like, I'm going to wear a mask. Please give me 6 feet. Thank you. Except maybe my girlfriend, because we can go into the back. But, I think that's going to work.